Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Uh, so, recently I watched this film called The Awakenings. It's quite an old film, was released back in 1990, and it stars Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. Uh, it's based on the discovery and contribution of Dr. Oliver Sacks, who was a neurologist, uh, and they basically show certain patients in a hospital who are suffering from a disease called encephalitis lethargica. Now they have shown late 70s, and you know they have been suffering since the 1920s. That's when the Black Plague spread in Europe and America. Uh, it was a mysterious disease uh, which killed millions of people, and the ones who survived, uh, they later on developed neurological symptoms where first it started with tremors, and then their body function or motor function slowly decreased, and they were just frozen. They were alive, they were conscious on the inside, but externally they were like this, you know and obviously they needed supervision, and they were sent to hospitals, and uh, for years they were over there, decades. And Dr. Oliver Sacks, he conducted this experiment on them when he observed their behavior, that they are actually conscious just like us, but they are not getting the right environment, and they are not getting the right uh, medicine to to function, to get better. And he started giving them levodopa, a drug that was at that time being experimented for Parkinson's, and that started helping them. And he started playing music, and he started trying to understand each patient, because they were all different people, and they all responded to what they liked. So do watch that film, it's amazing. What I'm trying to say here is, now they were, miraculously they just got better for a few months or maximum a year, but then they went back into the same state that they were in before. Uh, so one can't help themselves but think that, you know, how cruel life can be. There's this irony of fate, that some people, they are wiped out from the face of the earth, while some are enjoying doing whatever they want, and some people are frozen in their bodies, and they are in pain. They might be unconscious, but they are still alive. They are experiencing uh, something. If somebody is in a coma, they are alive. They are sensing things, but people around them may treat them like they are a vegetable or they don't exist, but they are conscious just like us. uh, so in our era, in our generation, we have seen uh, our own version of Black Plague, although that was much worse in my opinion. But Corona, when it came in 2020, that uh, destroyed the lives of so many people, and many people, they recovered from it, and it seems like nothing happened to them. They're living normal lives. God bless them. But there are thousands of people who have been affected by it uh, for a longer period of time, because everybody's body is different, everybody reacts differently. Some people develop chronic fatigue syndrome, some people develop certain autoimmune disorders, somebody may have certain deficiencies, somebody may have neurological problems, like uh, severe anxiety or clinical depression or vertigo, something like that. And these things can really, affect the quality of life. So it's so important to understand that life is unpredictable. I mean, this topic is not something philosophical or mystical as such. It's just something uh, slightly thought provoking, that I mean, we can just understand how lucky we are. uh, I mean, that's the least we can do, understand the fortune that we have in our lives. And we can't understand why certain people experience certain things, and you know but we if we have faith in God, we will learn to accept things as they are. And because mysticism is beyond logic, whatever is happening on earth, I mean, we don't know about other dimensions. There are all sorts of dimensions in this universe, but we are conscious of what's happening in this world through the internet. We get all the information, but even that information is limited. Like, we don't know each and every detail. So many things are hidden from us. But the point is that uh, life is it's full of surprises. It has its own you know plan, and sometimes we think that if we are suffering, uh, we are being punished, uh, but maybe it's something that we need to go through in order to realize something greater. And it might even take a decade or maybe longer than that. But once we have gone through that phase, because we are seeing things from a tiny keyhole, and we don't know what God knows. There's no doubt that our actions have consequences, and we need to correct ourselves. But understanding the the bigger picture is really important. And yeah, so coming back to the Black Plague, uh, you know, these kind of uh, diseases, they have uh, they have been occurring since millennia. And just like we have natural disasters, uh, there have been other tragedies. And this is the irony of fate, that you know it's like watching a film, and uh, you you see how uh, somebody, who has been living a simple life, they are wiped out from the earth. And while there is this emperor who is a tyrant, he will survive for 100 years. And it's not like there is this discrimination, that everything is meant to go in this direction. uh, it's about what needs to be done. This is what I feel, that uh, because somewhere we all question why these things happen. uh, but So the Black Plague, it teaches us that history repeats itself. Uh, the best we can do is try to take precaution. And I mean, spiritually, we can see it as a punishment from God. Uh, who knows? Maybe there is some truth in it, that there are plagues and disasters coming because humanity needs to learn something. But on the other hand, we are the ones who are attracting such problems or diseases in our lives, collectively and at an individual level. If you observe yourself, you know and you when you look at others' lives, or the ones who have come before you, you learn something from them. But if you don't practice that, you will attract the same problems in your life. And if you have attracted the same problem in your life in the past and you got over it, and then you, after a few years or later on, you forget that and you start going the same pattern, you're going to attract or manifest those things again. So the same goes for what's happening in the world. And we are collectively creating uh, our reality. And I mean, um, of course we don't have control over everything, but uh, that's where being the change comes in, that what you are doing is affecting you and the ones around you, and creating a ripple effect in the universe. So you have to try to think about that. It's so important to understand how your actions can make a difference. And if something is happening that is beyond your control, then the best we can do is accept and surrender to the Creator, and learn to move on. Uh, and yeah, I mean, sometimes we are suffering more in our head than in reality. And it's important to detach ourselves and understand, are we really in that much pain. uh, no doubt that everybody feels or sees pain, or their misery in their own way. Like, you cannot compare it because it's subjective. But you have to also draw a line. Like, if somebody is going through therapy and they are sharing something about themselves, they might amplify certain events that took place in their life and cause trauma. But when that person starts thinking about it, like what he has been carrying, compared to what others go through, a part of him will realize that he may have been uh, too hard on himself or others. Uh, and that's how we heal, that's how we grow or evolve. So it's important to realize that life is unpredictable. There's no doubt about that, and we have to learn to be in the now, in the moment. Uh, it's good to make plans and do things, but one should not exhaust themselves that they are unable to actually notice the little things that make life beautiful. And yeah, so I just wanted to share this message. Um, that film that I talked about, Awakenings, is something that it's a film that really has touched my heart, and I believe whoever has watched it, he will feel the same. So yeah, I mean, there are certain movies that remind you of how fortunate we are, and uh, how we can change our lives as well. Because sometimes we do surrender, but surrendering and giving up are different. Now, there's a fine line between surrender and giving up. Sometimes we are not actually surrendering. We're not doing anything about a certain situation. We are internally we are frozen, just like this fight or flight. We have a freeze response. Now the black plague can be seen from the psychological perspective, that it's a trauma that affects the soul or the mind, and it so slowly penetrates you. It's like, if there is a bomb blast or nuclear explosion, the the waves, they will reach somebody who's nearby, although they are living quite far away, but the waves will reach that person, and they might slowly alter their DNA, and over the period of time it may cause certain anomalies, and it can actually create some form of mutation, which happened in Hiroshima Nagasaki incident. That people, they were so deeply affected by it that their children and their grandchildren, the grandchildren are still, they are affected. Uh, by that incident, uh, because the power of a nuclear explosion is so detrimental that it can create this permanent change. And anyway, so the same goes for a trauma. When one goes through a psychological trauma in their childhood, because we are really sensitive and fragile, you know, at that time we experience these mini explosions, or it can be a major explosion depending on the sort of event, and that penetrates us and creates certain fractures, this a different kind of response. And somebody can go through so many uh, episodes of trauma, and eventually they internally they might feel crippled or frozen, uh, while somebody can have a different response to that. So what I'm trying to say here is that the emotional emotional pain, it is so powerful that it can create brain damage, just like a concussion can create a brain damage because of the force. It's the force that causes the damage. It's not the object. It's the force that creates the impact, and it creates that shock, and that wave, it hits you, you absorb it, you know at any part. I mean, if somebody, let's say they have an accident, so although we may, if we see it on a video, we will see two objects just bumping into each other. A man is bumping against a car, or a car is hitting a man. But what's happening is that they both are creating an impact, a reaction, and the body is affecting the car, and the car is affecting the body, isn't it? Of course, if the body is completely weak or light compared to a car, most likely, so the car will probably just have a small dent, but the the body, that might uh, have severe fractures and all sorts of issues. But that, whatever is happening, is because of a force. So it's very interesting when you think about it, that everything is vibration, everything is a frequency. And we don't realize how much stuff is bombarded upon us. The negativity on the television, uh, and the internet, it's filled with all sorts of things, but we are so addicted by that we don't realize how much it is affecting us. So so yeah, it's very important to understand uh, that our well-being is so important, and we must take care of ourselves, and understand that we can uh, make things better. We can try. I mean, sometimes God uh, tests us, no doubt, that we, and I feel that we are being tested all the time. uh, So I will talk about that in the next topic. Uh, and I hope you like this video. Take care. See you guys. Bye bye.